So, for for Dynamite this week, it kicked off again with another really strong opening segment with the video package. I don't know. I feel like they're really, really strong in doing this AEW. I don't know what it is. They just, it feels like really high quality production, like old school WWE kind of stuff that just gets you kind of invested and bought into the matches that are going on. But this was like a bit of a hype package for Darby and Cody, who are going to be kicking off the show that we find out. But I just thought it was interesting because these guys have fought previously, with Cody picking up the win. Which Darby kind of attributes to being down to Arn Anderson as opposed to Cody himself. And that match was a really good match in the first time that we saw it. So obviously you're quite hyped to see this match, and it was an interesting kind of view on it really, where Darby was kind of saying, what kind of champion do you want? Do you want the kind of corporate sheep, or do you want someone like me? Whereas Cody was like, there's no question Darby has got the talent, but is he a champion? And it was kind of it was just an interesting way to build it. There was no like real animosity there between each other, but at the same time, it was less, like we're both good guys. It was just more like, there was still something there. They managed to find a bit of tension.
No, it worked really well, to be fair. Like you say, that they're sort of not enemies, but there was enough there. I think you've put it perfectly. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed, and like you said, it's definitely got that sort of nostalgic feel to it, like the way wrestling used to be. I think that's probably why we're so enamored to AEW in general. But this again is another fine example.
Yeah. So I thought it was a really, really strong opening, and then we kind of lead into that as our first match, and what a fantastic match to kick off the show. Darby is, I don't know, he's just so good in the ring. Like, he is just fantastic, and he gets kind of plaudits and he gets credit for what he does, but he is really, really good. And if it wasn't for the fact he was only like 5'8", and I don't know, I could see him being a main event star. I don't know whether he'll ever get there. If he is going to get there, AEW is the kind of company that you would expect to kind of see that. But he's definitely going places, Darby.
Oh yeah. And if there's hope for him, there's hope for all of us.
Well, exactly. As a fellow 5'8" guy here, if I can just paint my face and do some sick moves, then who knows. But yeah, so I don't know. These guys got really good chemistry as well. So the match itself, as was the first one, was just really, really strong. There was one point in the match which I thought, there's always shenanigans with Cody Rhodes. Interestingly as well, this was the first kind of match where he's able to use his full name since he won the rights off WWE.
Oh yeah, of course. We mentioned that last week, didn't we?
And yeah, so they did actually refer to him as Cody Rhodes, which I thought was quite nice. But yeah, there was one point in the match, as shenanigans go with Cody, where he kind of sidesteps an attack from Darby, and that happens to knock down Brandy Rhodes. And I don't know, I feel like for whatever reason, and it is mainly Cody matches, they're so overproduced. Like, there is shenanigans in everything that he does. There's weird finishes, there's weird run-ins, there's just weird shit all the time, and this one was kind of no exception. And it didn't need that really. Brandy wasn't really doing anything. She wasn't adding anything to the match, and it was just like a bit of additional drama that we didn't need. So she obviously gets injured, and Billy Gunn, who was at ringside, takes her to the back and kind of tries to sort her out, whatever.
Fucking hell, go ahead, Billy.
Ooh, he's an ass man, I tell you. But yeah, so that was just, I don't know, felt a bit forced. But that aside, the match itself was really good, and once again, we see a very unusual kind of different finish to the match, as we did with all Cody Rhodes matches. So last week it was the figure four where Sean Spears' shoulders were down, and this week it was the fact that Darby did the coffin drop off the rope, and he landed on Cody, but Cody kind of like moved to his side a little bit, and then it ended up being Darby's shoulders that were down.
I'll be honest, mate. Like, this fully got me.
Yeah,
I thought Darby got the win.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, what? And they needed to replay it for me because I'm like, wait, what happened there? So what they wanted to do fully got me.
Yeah.
Like you say, there seems to be sort of unusual finishes a lot for Cody, but this one in particular, because the figure four seemed a bit more signposted, with Sean Spears. This one though, it fully got me. I was like, oh shit, Darby's won, and then it was Cody's music playing. I'm like, wait, let's go back on that. Let's have a quick look at that again. And you could argue it might just be me. It might have been a bit clearer. But I certainly didn't pick up on it at first, and I was like, fucking hell, yeah, he did. He got his shoulders down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. It's he's a fan of the old school, and it was definitely refreshing to see. I just think it'd be nice to see Cody just win a match without any kind of fucking schmaz or shenanigans or just none of that. Just like let him win. But the match itself, you can't really argue, was a fantastic match, and unfortunately Darby came up short again against Cody. But that means Cody advances.
It sounds like Darby comes up short against most people. I'm here all week.
So yeah, again, fantastic kickoff to the show, as AEW always does. We then got the part 2 to the Scorpio Sky video package. So, we mentioned last week that that we both kind of really enjoyed this. We mentioned around the Keith Lee and Damian Priest stuff on NXT that we also really enjoyed, and this one was no different again. He kind of for someone that we don't really know much about, it just does such a good job of kind of letting about the kind of struggles and the rise and stuff like that. And our pal Christopher Daniels was featured in this as well, and kind of the way he helped Scorpio Sky kind of on his ascension and stuff like that. And
that's the thing, because people can quite easily overlook. I know I certainly did when I started with AEW. You just assume SCU have always been those three from the off, but obviously it was Daniels and Kazarian were there together, not necessarily called SCU, but they were together before Scorpio. So you get to learn certain things, like you say, Daniel's involvement in Scorpio's rise and stuff like that. And again, you and me are suckers for these sort of video packages anyway. But for me, it was another good one. Yeah.
Well, that's it. He obviously had his AEW title match against Jericho, which he came up short, and it was kind of refreshing to see that he doesn't just want to be kind of a main event star. He wants to become like a legend in the business, and it's those kind of video packages to kind of build that rapport with these guys, and you kind of think, well, fucking hell, next time I see Scorpio Sky wrestle, I'm going to back him now because I can see how much it means to him, kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly.
All, it was strong. And then the reverse to that, we have the MJF promo, where, honest to God,
to be fair, mate, like I've been feeling for MJF for a few weeks now. I mean, it can't be easy dealing with what he's been dealing with.
That's it. I mean, and it seems as well, like with this promo segment, it just went from bad to worse. Obviously we found out the horrendous injury last week with the hangnail, and we were hoping that he'd recover from that, and he kind of let us know the good news that not only had he recovered, but he'd over recovered to the point he had the strongest kind of nail now in the world, which was typical of someone of kind of MJF's prowess. But
I mean, that's the thing, he doesn't ever do things by half, so that makes perfect sense.
That's it. I mean, he was cleared and he was ready to return to TV again, obviously trying to look his best like he always does. But then that's when it just goes from bad to worse, because we thought it was bad with the hangnail injury, but I mean,
then disaster struck.
Yeah, man. He was shaving and he nicked his neck.
Take your time, Carl. I know it's difficult to talk about.
I know. So I mean, yeah, just you know what I mean. Like, you've got to feel for the guy, haven't you? Just I'm kind of getting emotional, kind of talking about it. Really, what an injury to have from going from a hangnail to then nicking your neck while shaving.
I mean, this is the thing. I mean, he's unsung, MJF, a lot of the time. I mean, they're always quick to give like Kurt Angle credit, But what about stuff like this? What about what MJF's having to go through?
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, fine. Angle won a gold medal with a broken neck, but imagine if he had fucking nicked his neck while he shaved, or he had a hangnail. It's you know what I mean? Like, he's a fraud, really, Kurt Angle in comparison.
Exactly. And what we can say without a doubt is that Kurt Angle did not win a gold medal with a hangnail.
Exactly. So there you go. But yeah, so just gold from him. I think he's fantastic.
Absolute legend. He plays the heel character so fucking well.
Yeah, it's just got such like comedic timing, and his kind of demeanor, his attitude. You can't help but kind of just think, what a bastard. So he's so good.
For me, this is the kind of shit that, like, I don't want WWE to just out and out copy, right? But this is where they've gone, right? Well, MJF, he's at home, right? We're all isolating and all that kind of stuff. But we can still do something. Whereas WWE is like, well, they're not going to see them. They're not on the show. They're not going to fucking have them. Whereas we're getting these videos and this sort of like, obviously all in jest, but these sort of reasons why he's not there and stuff like that. And it's gold, and it's just added that little bit of fun to the show. And if anything sort of takes you out of what's going on at the minute in the world, it's AEW, because they know how to sort of deal with this situation, how to play this situation, and it's this kind of stuff that Raw is, Raw specifically apparently, WWE is definitely lacking.
Yeah, well, no, I thought exactly. Yeah, it was just considering everything that's going on. If he's not able to be there, they're still able to use him, which is definitely something WWE can learn from, because it's felt very samey or very kind of NXT based in WWE lately. So you can actually put your stars still on the show from different locations, and you can see how well it can work from the likes of this kind of promo. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've heard of it, Vince, but there's a thing called Skype and a few hundred alternatives.
I mean, I think he's heard of it. I think he's probably booked himself to beat Skype at one point in his career. So but yeah, so again, really, really good from MJF. And then another good match kind of followed that. So obviously Wardlow last week had kind of resurfaced, and he was pretty much Wardlow Lesnar. And this week was no different. He was definitely kind of living the Brock gimmick. He came out doing his little skip as per Brock. There was he just looked like an animal as Brock does. You know what I mean? He was really dangerous. There's one point where he kind of the guy was on the turnbuckle and he kind of pulled him down, did this really nasty looking knee. And my God, I don't know whether he actually like broke his face, but that's what it looked like. You know what I mean? I don't know whether it was just wonderfully done or whether there was some serious fucking bumping going on there. But my God, you looked at it, it was nasty. And then obviously he finished again with the modified kind of version of the F5, which is what brought kind of Brock that success. But yeah, I'm all for it, man. I think Wardlow, AEW, I've said before, is lacking some really big kind of muscle-bound stars. Lately they've got Archer, they've got Brody Lee, but Wardlow was the first kind of one that we saw. Like him and Luchasaurus were the only two that were big. And they really do seem to be kind of getting on the Wardlow kind of hype train in terms of a Brock Lesnar style push. And yeah, I think it's much needed in a company that is kind of full of much smaller kind of athletes. So I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's one area they need to sort of buff out a little bit anyway. So it works well, and it was a really good match for him, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it did exactly what it needed to do, and he's kind of looking more like a star each and every week. So fair play, booked well.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the next segment, one of my favourites over the coming weeks, is another Bubbly Bunch episode.
I thoroughly fucking enjoyed this.
It's just like, it's so silly, isn't it? But it's just so funny at the same time. So like,
I'll be honest, I'm such a mark for the Inner Circle. They're all fucking
they're
brilliant.
Just legends, aren't they?
Aren't they just?
Like they obviously followed on from last week's Flim Flam challenge, and trying to discuss who actually really won last week. It might have been the fact, it might have been Sammy had got the win and resultingly won the hand sanitizer, but Jericho wasn't letting it slide. And then obviously they had a little bit of a discussion around that, but then they were saying, well, why not have a little bit of a Manitoba melee? And that's when they decided to all fight each other, but via video chat, which was just so stupid but so funny. And like there was loads of different celebrities that kind of popped up in this. The highlight being Lou Ferrigno, who was
with a taser for some reason.
But we also got to see Jungle Boy. We got to see Chris Jericho's dad in Vicky Guerrero as well, which I thought was quite funny. So
it was really good.
Just like so much fun as always, and
you just
these
really
segments,
see the creativity in them as well. I don't know who's putting this stuff together, but absolutely every week it's always something to see. It's always really good.
Well, that's it. Like it is so silly, but at the same time, it's not like childish or like stupid. Like it's silly, but like cool silly. So it's always good. Always.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Then following that, we had so the match that was announced last week, which was the tag team match, no disqualification between Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian versus the Best Friends. And do you know what? I wasn't keen on it last week when it was announced, and I was like, I don't really want to see this, but I'll take a leaf out of your back, Anthony. I will eat my hat because this was really good. Really, really enjoyed it, to be fair. There was loads of different fun spots with the different kind of chairs and ladders and stuff. Like they really kind of made the no DQ element kind of shine here. And Jimmy Havoc, I've not really been that big on. There's no kind of there's no one who thinks I'm big on fucking Kip Sabian because I think he's a load of shite. But for me, Jimmy Havoc kind of really shone in this match. Sabian not so much, but I don't know. It just felt like a really kind of fun, but like interesting kind of take on it, really. And Penelope Ford got involved, as did Orange Cassidy, as they always do. But the match itself was just really strong, loads of like decent spots, and ultimately the best friends came up with the win off the back of it. So yeah, really, really good for me.
I mean, the only thing I want to say on that is I totally agree with what you're saying about the match itself. I do, however, think your comments last week were fair, because it's still kind of like random, and it's just one of the things where I think I want to be fair and point out weaknesses when I see them in AEW, and the fact that that's like, well, we'll put Kip and Havoc together because they're both British. It's like, I don't know. It is kind of almost lazy. It still doesn't make sense them being a team, really. But that being said, like you say, it was still a very good match. But I think your criticisms were fair, because a lot of the reason we weren't too bothered by it was that. It was like, you might as well have put Pac in there as well. It's like, yeah. But all in all, what they ended up with was a good result. So fair enough. Just, you couldn't have seen it coming.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just hope from this point now that it's kind of done with a little bit, and to kind of just go their kind of separate ways, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise for them to kind of be together, as we've already said. So now that the best friends have won this kind of altercation, I hope it's just the end of it now, but remains to be seen.
They're going to end up being the Brit friends, aren't they?
I would like that, actually. Best friends versus the Brit friends. So all in all, it kind of exceeded my expectations, which is good. We then went into another kind of segment with Britt Baker. So around her kind of wanting to be a role model, and her kind of typical kind of heelish kind of promo stuff, which is fine. But I don't know. I feel like they've not done a good enough job of capitalizing on what happened a couple of weeks ago, where she got busted open in the match, and it was like she looked a bit like a badass, and it was kind of like that Becky Lynch moment, wasn't it, where it's like, holy shit, she's legit now. They made a t-shirt off the back of it and stuff like that, but now they've kind of gone back to the old kind of, well, I'm a dentist, but I'm also a bad person, and I don't know, it just underwhelmed me. I think based off that, I thought they would have done more with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and I don't know if it might be a victim of the situation, that they can't maybe do what they would like to do with her, so it's causing it to stagnate. But yeah, sadly, it's getting back into a bit more routine, rather than, like you say, that breakout moments or anything particularly memorable or badass. It's all just becoming a little bit routine, isn't it? It's like, I'm a dentist. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it was like she even went so far back as to like go on about Tony Schiavone again, about how he's like fat and he's got bad teeth, and it was a bit like, fucking hell, you were doing this when you first started to become a heel.
Like, for fuck's sake, Brett, we all know he's fat and he's got bad teeth.
I don't know. It was just it felt like a step back for her, which was a shame. And then the next segment was Sean Spears against the Jobber. I don't know. I feel like he's leaning a bit more into like a little bit of a new gimmick. Because
well, he needs to drop the old fucking one.
Well, he's embracing the fact he's Canadian now. So
he's Canadian.
He came out with like he's Canadian. He came out with like a little Canadian flag on his short with a skull, very kind of Bret Hart-esque. Interestingly, finished the match with a sharpshooter, which we came to believe he was actually gifted by Bret Hart. So Bret has actually given him the kind of seal of approval to use that as his finish going forward, which I thought was interesting.
Nice. Yeah, I believe it's always the respectful thing to do as well, to get the sort of nod from the not necessarily the person who originated, but the one who's made it most famous. So it's nice to see that that's happened. It's almost like a passing of the torch kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, which I don't know how much of it has got to do with the fact that he's a fellow Ontarian, because they're both from Ontario. So I don't know whether that's kind of something to do with it, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of surprised, really, because you don't think of Sean Spears being the one that Bret Hart passes the torch to. Do you know what I mean? But
no,
that
you
being
don't.
said, I don't know. It's just a weird one with him, because he's got some serious in-ring talent. He's not the best, but he can go. I just think he's got a bit of an identity crisis. The whole chairman thing, as you said previously, was, what I mean? It's a load of shite. It doesn't mean anything. He used to come out with a chair. He used to have a manager, and now he doesn't do either with them. But he still goes by the name chairman. And I don't know. Now he's discovered he's Canadian. He needs just to kind of solidify what that gimmick is and who he is. and I think that'll just put him in some good stead because while it was never kind of the main event gimmick of you'd expect, like even when he was Perfect 10, he had something. Whereas I feel like his gimmicks probably got worse in AEW than it was even in WWE. So I don't know. He just needs to find himself, I think.
I could be wrong, but I think he might have been a victim of his own freedom. Like, I think he was like, what can I do? And then he's come up with this chairman thing and not realised he didn't know where the fuck to go with it. What do you do with it? Like, chair man? It's like you look around the room. Like, what can it be? But I don't know. Hopefully he finds his feet with this now. And it doesn't, being Canadian isn't a gimmick, if you're listening, Sean. So don't lean into it too much, but just be a fucking good wrestler and embrace the fact you're Canadian, apparently.
It's not a gimmick, eh?
Exactly.
It's not all about.
But no, the bottom line, a lot of the best wrestlers, they went out and everything kind of happened organically, didn't it? Like, Austin, the whole broken skull thing and the whole being a tough bastard, as most of his gimmick was down to what happened to him in the ring. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't down to, he didn't just sit there and go, I'm going to do this. So I think he just needs to kind of just not worry too much about being gimmicky and just go out there and put on some good matches.
Yeah, agreed. I just think, I don't know. And don't get me wrong, I hope he does find that as well, but just up to now, he's felt a bit inconsistent, I think, so who knows. And then the next match was again, we found out about this last week, and I also had questions around how this ever got booked, but it was Brody Lee versus Marco Stunt. So fresh off a hammering from Lance Archer, now Marco Stunt has to go through Brody Lee, and no surprise, ends up getting slaughtered again. So I don't know. It's just one of them. I don't really know what it accomplished. Even last week when it kind of came about and Brody Lee kind of went up to him at ringside and stuff like that, I didn't get it then. I don't feel any kind of, I'm none the wiser now.
See, for me, this didn't work for me as well because, like, Brody, from a character point of view, Brody shouldn't want this match. Because what does it achieve? Like, if he loses, he looks at a right tit. And if he wins, he beats someone who he knew he could win quite easily. Like, it does nothing for Brody, and you can see that from a storyline point of view. Brody should have seen that. So I don't get what this was. Like, if you were going to put the surprise victory for Marco in there, sound, but that would have not done anything for Brody. So, like, what? Like, it had to go the way it did, and all it does is squash Marco Stunts even further. Like, he's going to be flat as a pancake soon, that lad. And I don't know.
That's it. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Like, why would he ever go for that match? It wasn't like he was trying to recruit him for the Dark Order or, use him as one of his cronies or anything. He literally just wanted to beat up a tiny little guy, which doesn't make any sense. So,
which seems to be a thing that everybody on AEW wants to do at some point.
Well, yeah. But, as we said, we're not, even though we are AEW fanboys, we're not going to just give them a pass on stuff. Like, there's a few things here now where, just didn't really make any sense or we weren't really happy with. And I think this was just another example of it. It just seems silly.
I agree.
So hopefully they stop doing shit like that.
Yeah.
And the next one, and I don't know, I'm in the minority here, I feel, but it was a Moxley promo and I'm just not a fan. I just don't get him. Like, honestly, he's another one who thinks that he's having a bit of an identity crisis. He's come over, he's trying to, like, maintain elements of this fucking lunatic fringe. Whether or not he said it's a stupid gimmick or what in the WWE, like, he's meant to be this psychopath, isn't he? Right? But he's not. He really isn't. He's far too blue chip to be a psychopath, but he's far too psycho to be the fucking champ. So I can't place him. Like, he comes across as just, nah. Like, he's the champ. It's like, okay, fine. But then, I don't know. It's just, he comes out, he's like, I'm a fighting champion, I'm a targeted man, everyone wants me, a double or nothing. But the thing you got to remember is, you need to remember what you're getting yourself into. I'm a crazy guy, blah, blah, blah. And then, finishes the segment by going, and then remember, everyone needs to call their grandmother. So, what the what the fuck? Like, yeah. I don't know. See, make any sense.
The bits that don't gel with me is, like, I firmly believe if you have to tell somebody something, that's because you're not. Yeah. So the fact that he's telling you he's crazy and everyone's gunning for he's a lunatic is like, it's because you're not. That's what you want to be perceived as, but that's not what you're coming across as, and that's why you have to sort of tell us that. But I'm with you. I'm not overly sold on it. I think you've hit the nail on the head, really, in the sense of, like, he's sort of having a bit of an identity crisis. He's gone, I can be myself now, and then gone, who am I? Because he's kind of, he's not a far stretch from what he was in WWE anyway. I know anyone who is listening who's like, he was the lunatic in a sense in Ring of Honor, and he was much more edgy and all this is like, don't care. He's closer to the WWE Ambrose than he was Moxley Ring of Honor, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know. I was never really sure how he was going to be as a champion anyway. And sadly, and I don't want to be too unfair because a large part of his run has been to no audience and such. But he didn't start out that way. He could have had. I don't know. He could have been well established by this time anyway. But he's not wowing me as a champ. I'll be honest.
No, I mean, you like ages ago were like so right when you said like, why would someone like Moxley want to win the belt? And it's still a very fair statement because you know what I mean. Like if he is meant to be this dangerous guy or he's meant to be some fucking freak or whatever, then why does he care? And then if he is going to go down that gimmick, okay, that's fine. But then don't start trying to add in weird elements of humor, like you need to remember to call your grandma and stupid shit like that. Like I don't know, I don't get him.
Yeah, so, the humor bit isn't like, look at him, he's crazy, he's all over the place, he doesn't know what he's having.
That's it. I mean, like humor can be good if you're funny, and he's not funny, so
no.
You just shut up. So yeah,
that's the bottom line.
The jury's out for me on Mox, but he did a promo, so he's going to be there next week. I think he's fighting Kazarian next week, which is interesting. Strange.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
And then the main event was the other side of the bracket for the TNT title. So it was Lance Archer versus Dustin Rhodes, and really good match for me. So I think Dustin did it. He accompanied. He achieved everything that he wanted to do kind of with this. Really, he like really put over Lance Archer in the way that he's very capable of doing. One minor gripe of this match. So earlier on, Brandy got injured by Darby, inadvertently, and Cody was kind of
you said away, blah, blah, Billy Gunn was seeing to it.
Yeah, he gave it a good seeing to. But what I thought was weird was she's been through all this and injured and blah blah blah, but she still managed to find the time to get changed into some black and red outfit to match Dustin Rhodes. And then, like, firstly, why do you need to change your outfit anyway? Just you know what I mean? Just accompany them. You don't have to dress like them.
That's true.
But just a minor gripe, but I just thought that was stupid.
It's like it doesn't really sell the whole injury from before, does it?
Well, exactly. But yeah, so the match itself, though, was really good. Dustin kind of sold everything, really put Archer over here, I think. Got busted open halfway through. But again, wherever Cody is involved, there is also overbooking. And this was another prime example. So towards the end of the match, I forget the guy's name, fucking TJ something or other, or I can't remember what his name is, but one of the guys from the fucking Nightmare Collective, like the little trainer guy, was about to throw the towel in, and then Cody appears out of nowhere and stops him. And they're all kind of like, why?
Was it QT Marshall? He seems
that's
to be
the one. I knew, yeah, that was it. I knew there was some two.
I keep forgetting he's in the Nightmare Collective.
Yeah,
family group.
Exactly. Yeah, but he was going to throw the towel in, but then Cody kind of showed up and was like, no, he'll quit if he wants to. And then basically Archer just went and like slammed his head off the fucking.
So he's unconscious. He'll quit if he wants to.
Exactly, right? So Archer then went about slamming Dustin's head into the mat like another 5 or 6 times before getting the win. And then, early on in the night, him stepping out the way and Brandy getting hit. And then towards the end of the show, Cody being like making Dustin take unnecessary damage just kind of made Cody seem like, I don't know, displayed him in a bad light when he's meant to be the babyface going in against Archer, which
it's funny, because when Archer first came along and he was like, basically, you're not entitled to a match with me just yet, was a little bit heely as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I know they've always said that they're not going to technically stick to the heel face dynamic, and it is going to be a bit more grey. But even so, it just. Yeah, it seems like he's being a bit of a tit in this one, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just didn't seem like the most kind of fucking sensible thing to do when you're meant to be building up Cody as a big baby face against Lance Archer. But
exactly, yeah.
Whatever, leading to it. But that being said, I thought the first half of Dynamite was really, really strong. It kind of lost its way a little bit in the middle with like the Sean Spears and Brody Lee match and stuff like that. But then I thought the ending wasn't amazing, but it was still, strongish.
It was
so
solid end, yeah.
Yeah, solid end, kind of. So that being said, I kind of gave it a 3 as well, out of 5.
Yeah, I think I was in largely the same boat. It wasn't the best Dynamite I've ever seen, wasn't the worst Dynamite I've ever seen, but it was firmly a 3 for me. Certainly better than Raw or NXT this week.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool.